Alright, in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to get the best out of Mileena, how to play to her strengths, all that good shit. So, one thing that you want to do with Mileena is understand how good these two staggers are, which is this and this. These staggers are so good to Mileena because it just complements her strengths. One of Mileena's best strengths in this game is her fucking backdash and her movement. Like, if you do something like that, your opponent cannot down 4 or down 3 or down 1 or uppercut you. You backdash and you could just whiff punish them with an overhead and a low starter. So let me show you guys how this thing is actually a real thing. So, let me try to space it. I'm going to show you guys how to actually space it correctly. Right? Down 1 whiffs. Down 3 whiffs. Down 4 whiffs. Uppercut whiffs completely. Let's say if Johnny Cage wants to do that, he's going to have to go into his mids at all time, right? He's going to have to. If he wants to catch you in there. There's a problem with that. You're not going to want to do that against Mileena because if I try doing that, it gets clipped. 14. Characters that have really slow mids, oh god, you could really abuse them with this move right here. And they just go into a down 1 because it's 0. You're not plus, you're not minus, it's 0, and you have a 7 frame down 1. So doing this, and then you can go into a command grab, or doing this, and then going into a command grab is really nice. Or doing this, backdashing and grabbing, this, low starter, overhead, lots and lots of mind games. One thing that a lot of players like to do is like going into this string right here, backdashing and then going into it. That's a very popular thing that I see a lot of good Mileena players do. But at the same time, being able to do something like this, backdashing, and then like good chip damage that you get from your opponent with 4%, whatever, right? And it resets neutral, and that could really annoy the shit out of your opponent. And one thing that you want to make your opponent do is reach to Mileena, because she does not have the best range. She does not. This is a fact. Now when her range works is when people are chasing Mileena. That's when her range works. But when you're Mileena chasing your opponent, that shit is terrible. One thing that I really dislike about Mileena is that she gets mashed out on more than any character in the game because of her range. Like, it's just one of those things where, like, let's say Johnny Cage does this, right? And he backdashes out of there. What are you going to do as a Mileena player? What are you going to do? Her fucking slow ass down 3? Her fucking weak ass down 4? What, are you going to go into your little 10 frame mid, right? Are you going to go into this guy? You know, there's a good chance if he decides to throw a poke, you're going to get clipped. What are you going to do? This? You're going to do that? You're going to get poked. Like, you're going to get poked out. Or they're going to jump out, or that shit's going to whiff completely because it's very slow. Her fastest button has the worst range. Like her mid. Fastest mid has really bad range, and everything else is just very slow. And that's one game you're not going to want to play with your opponent. You are not going to want to chase your opponent with Mileena because you will lose. This is something I realized using her. You're going to lose. If you're chasing your opponent, if you're trying to reach for your opponent, you're going to lose. One thing that's been working out for me is backdashing and throwing projectiles. Like, if your opponent doesn't move, that resets neutral. Like, what is it? Scorpions 4-3. Well, I'll leave your opponent -7, but a lot of pushback. Johnny Cage is a really good example on this. He'll do something like, let me see. He'll do something like this, right? And he'll step back. What are you gonna do as a Mileena player? What are you gonna do that right there? Like, what if he poked at that situation? You're gonna get hit, right? Like, it's just there's a ton of space. If you dash up, he could have easily poked me or whiff punished me right there. But one thing you're gonna want to do to not be put into that situation is backdash and throw your projectile. Now, why are you gonna want to do that? When I use Mileena, believe it or not, I backdash so much that I'm actually full screen. And one thing that I feel like Mileena actually does good is make your opponent like what the fuck is your game plan with Mileena, right? Like, are you trying to chase your opponent? Are you trying to zone your opponent? In this range right here, when I'm working my way back to my opponent, there's a lot of time that passes by. And at that point, when there's so much time that passes by, you grab your opponent, and that's how you start getting your crushing blow. That's how I set up my crushing blow with Mileena. Doing things that reset neutral, stuff like this, right? Being in the back, not getting clipped by shit, being super patient, and when it's time to get in, grab your opponent, boom, and get your crushing blow. Just like that. Definitely take advantage of that. Being comfortable, backdashing all the way back, and just really playing neutral with Mileena. Not having to take risks, just using her projectiles to get in, just being very patient, get ready to anti-air with her. Little things like that with Mileena. Again, don't chase your opponent. Make your opponent chase you. That is my biggest advice with this character. You want to make Mileena work, you cannot reach. She does not have the range to reach for a character like Scorpion, like Johnny Cage, like Spawn. You will fucking lose. It's just best to backdash, throw a projectile, or make, like, even backdash, make them freaking whiff, and then get them. So there's that. You want to make your opponent whiff to you, not you to them. So definitely avoid reaching with Mileena. Like, she just does not have the range for it. Like, let's really break down her range. Like, okay, cool, right? But all this shit's really slow, and like Johnny Cage down 3 will beat out all of this shit, really. If you really want to break it, he will beat all this shit out, or a character like Johnny Cage. This is, again, something that people don't really talk about, and that's why people are complaining about Mileena, that she's not an easy character. She really struggles at taking her turn back. You know, like, you can't go immediately to your 10 frame mid like an Aaron Black would, or like a Cassie or a Jackie would, just be able to throw their mids after pokes and stuff. You have to be very, very patient with Mileena, and always make them guess when, you know, when you're backdashing. Sometimes you don't backdash. Sometimes you grab your opponent. Sometimes you know, do a down 1 and go into a command grab. That's another thing you need to take advantage of. Being able to do down 1s into your command grab. Look at where it leaves your opponent. Right there. Right in front of you. And again, make your opponent guess. Are you going to get in? Or are you going to get out? Just make your opponent guess at all times. Doing simple things like this is really, really good. Let me show you why that's really good. So, right, whiff, see all that shit. The fact that she has strings that she could backdash and make your opponent like whiff completely, like her down 3s, down 4s whiff completely. Not a lot of characters have strings like that, especially when you like off of pokes and stuff. So another thing off of her pokes, like, if I land this, I'm going to go into that every single time. If I land this, I'm going to go into that, because sometimes if you do this, you have to like dash up and throw it. And yeah, you could be -1, but it could whiff at times because of the range. So it's just best if you do this, go into, what is, boom, this, or boom, step back, and then go into a low. If you do this, boom, boom, it's going to be your friend, or boom, your 10 frame mid or whatever. So that's another thing. So, and another thing with her staggers are really interesting. Like I said, these are good for like backdashing and getting your opponent in. This one, like being able to do something like this and then go into your command grab is really good. So do something like this, command grab, oh my bad, boom, command grab, and then boom, down 1, command grab. That's also really good. Also doing this, just resetting neutral really, and just making your opponent take chip, right? Like boom, like that. Because if you do this, they could duck that shit and you're gonna get opened up for it. That's if your opponent doesn't know about that stuff. But that's also really good. Just staggering the 10 frame mid is really nice, going into grabs and stuff like that, and backdashing, going to that, boom, and then stuff like that is really, really good. Just making your opponent guess at all times. is really nice. This move is really good for just whiff punishing. I used to think this move was trash, but I abused the shit out this move. I really like it, and it has a crushing blow as well, so that's really nice. Now, a lot of people love to abuse this move, and I get it. You know, it has an overhead. I guess there's like a mix-up to it. I guess, right? My advice for this move is to really use it as a move where you could, like, I guess, hit confirm off of it. But at the same time, just being safe with it all the time. If it's a clear punish, then okay, get your damage. But you should use this move to just reset neutral, honestly. If you get the punish, get your damage. But if you're not sure about it, you know, you could bait a poke, grab your opponent off of it. You could, you have to do, it either has to be bait your opponent for a poke, or just be completely safe. Don't do no 50-50 bullshit. Like, don't be doing stuff like this or into low size. I would not recommend it. I honestly do not think it's worth it. But that's just me. So just be smart with it. Be patient with it, right? Like, being able to do stuff like this, making your opponent poke and grabbing them is really, really nice. So do that. Don't be the guy that does this and then into a down one. I would not recommend that. It's just always best to be patient with this move and just condition your opponent for it. Whether you're going to complete it or whatever, or you're going to do this, reset neutral, and just make your opponent guess at all times on what you're going to do. And the last thing but not least, I think her low size are just not worth it, in my opinion. Unless you want to, like, be very zoney heavy with I was gonna say Katana, with Mileena, go right ahead. But I think her freaking high size are really, really good. I abuse the shit out of them because they reset neutral, and it really benefits Mileena, in my opinion. The fact that Mileena has something that will make her be completely safe off of damn near everything for a lot of her strings, and reset neutral. Mileena at full screen, she's solid. She has fast projectiles, pretty fast projectiles. She can amplify that shit, and then, like, once, you know, they knock your opponent down, you can just start using that shit to get in and using her movement. Or, you know, if you want to be that guy that just whatever could do fakes like that, if you have this dash or the little rolly ball or her teleport, you could definitely do that. And then also, if you have the telly in the air, you could definitely do it to, like, really psych your opponent out, like stuff like that. And you just jump, and then you already covered ground and stuff like that. So the fact that she has a move that resets neutral, definitely get comfortable using it. Like, hitting your opponent for this damage is really good, and there's a lot of pushback. And in that time, you know, play the game. That's what, in my opinion, makes Mileena kind of a difficult character, because you have to have good fundamentals to make this bitch work. Playing neutral is something that you're gonna have to be really comfortable with, especially with Mileena. That being said, hopefully these guys helped you guys. Hopefully this guide helped you guys out to make your Mileena better. I just feel like more people need to talk about this type of shit. That being said, holla back. Check you bastards later. Deuces.